Chicago's Lollapalooza. And you know, this is on the way to the Buckingham Fountain. They can have a special Lollapalooza colors, and it says Lollapalooza, but the Buckingham Fountain can run during Lollapalooza, and they can do music at Lollapalooza to a fountain show. So again, they have the Buckingham Fountain. Why not use it? It makes it a uniquely Chicago experience, because Lollapalooza happens other places, and again, they can do these things that makes it. Why don't they take a opportunity to have a stage on Lake Michigan? They close off Grant Park, but Grant Park is right on the lake. And I saw the outfield in Daytona Beach, and they played on the beach. And so, again, Lollapalooza could have stages right on the waterfront, too. Grant Park all the way to the waterfront. And it's beautiful. And the background of that thing, and they have the water behind them and so on. Now, they didn't have the stage parallel to the shoreline. They had it vertical to the shoreline. But still, the ocean was right there to the side of us. But it would have been nice if it was parallel. And then they have Blue Cross Blue Shield that says, stay safe, Lala, or Lola. And they can have a tent here educating the kids. Truly. They can just bring up things, you know. Blue Cross Blue Shield, we care. And they have a setup there, and they do the aid tent as part of a connection to the youth. And you know, making sure they're okay and everything. And yes, they have clients there, and they can have a Blue Cross Blue Shield VIP tent, a United Healthcare VIP tent, an Aetna VIP tent. Truly, that connects with the concert goers. That, you know, they have that, and it encourages them the Aetna experience. And so, again, they can have this where they build this situation. And they can do this, and the healthcare companies can now get kids understanding, but give them a VIP experience. You know, Humana has Vitality, and they do. They have it, and it's administered. My friends that worked at Excalibur, she worked for Vitality here in Chicago. And I used to talk to her because she was on the Humana team. I said, John Hancock, we use Vitality too. And they can have the Vitality experience at the Humana tent. So again, this gives them the ability to show that healthcare, that we care, and they can be at concert venues and that. Like Blue Cross Blue Shield, you know, come by for a quick blood pressure test. Truly, just as a courtesy. You know, they can do all kinds of different things. They can give a swag bag. And so, you know, and little information on, you know, what to do in a concert, how to tell if you're becoming. But the venue's doing this, and they can work with the venue, but also they give them an FYI where they catch it much earlier. So it further reduces risk. You know, if you're going to drink, make sure that you have some food on your stomach. If not, the sun in that amplifies the alcohol. And if you don't have food on your stomach before you start drinking, you can become dehydrated and disoriented faster, especially on a warm day. So get some food on your stomach first. It makes you hydrated. And so, again, they can do these things to make sure, they're doing the right thing. Like the livery drivers, I would be stripping their licenses and you can never drive in Chicago again. I would ban you forever. They took away my friends' liquor licenses and banned them. They said they could never get another liquor license in the city of Chicago again. And because why? They didn't do enough intense to break up drug use in the nightclub. So, livery drivers, well, you're banned. And so, again, you have to hold people accountable for their habits. And I'm sick and fucking tired of these people driving around like they own the city. Meaning this is a private resort, drivers, that they can do whatever the fuck they want. And the city doesn't only to their patrons. So again, it's effing ridiculous. It's like black people loitering and polluting and everything else. It's like, this is not your indoor house. And we even have codes about, let's see, what do they call them? Pack rats or whatever. I forget what it is. But again, even on your own property, you can't do things that increase fire risk. And you can go into insurance companies, property casualty companies. You can't be a hoarder. And you got to take care of pests on your property and that. So that leads to liability. That's insurance companies protecting insurance companies. Property casualty protecting health insurance companies protecting property casualty companies. I got your back, you got my back. We're all in the insurance industry trying to lower our cost. Truly, lower our exposure. They have to work together. Life insurance, disability, healthcare companies, property casualty companies, commercial insurance companies, as a consortium, working together to reduce systematic risk. And so you can't have hoarders. You can't have people that allow, unchecked pest control and everything else in their units. And so, again, it becomes a substantial fire risk. And what happens? Smoke inhalation, severe burns. Where does that go? Health insurance. And all of a sudden you got a shock claim because somebody is in a burn ward because the house went up on fire. The property casualty company lost, the health insurance company lost, all these individuals lost. Must be nice to own the street. Ah, you fucking nigger bitch. This is all recorded. Black girl disrespects me. She's a nigger fucking piece of trash. It's the same thing they called me. Shut up, cracker. Shut up, honky. Shut up, white trash. So somehow they can call me all kinds of names my whole fucking life, and I can't call them fucking nigger. It seems like a bait and switch type of situation. And I restrained from it, but no more. Now they're just niggers. They earned the title through systematic abuse since I've been a child. And to tell you the truth, God said, and this goes back to, he said, I can call them niggers as much as I want. It's blessed by me. Feel free to call them nigger, 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 all fucking day and night. So, I don't worry about calling them fucking niggers. They deserve it. They earned the fucking title. And if they attack me over it, they should get the bullet through the fucking head. They lost that
fucking privilege. You reap what you sow. And you lose privileges. That's called punishment. But they don't see it that way, but God sees it that way. And he says, if you do anything to shut me the fuck up, you're condemned. I put up with your bullshit my whole fucking life. So let's go into this. Employment. I was on salary at Charlie's. Say 20,000, I forget how much exactly. And I worked weeks at 120 hours a week. I didn't get any overtime. I lived there. I made my extra money, and Charlie tried to take away my bartending shifts where I was the beverage manager and I bartended to make extra money. He tried to take them away, and I told him, no way. And I stood up against him. But it's the same thing at Baja. At some weeks, I worked up to 120 hours a week. When I first started managing, they took me off and put me on salary. They worked me 90 straight days at about 100 plus hours a week. This is what Mark Weisberg did to me. And right there and then, you think I didn't know? Right there and then, in my brain, when he was calculating it and putting me on, I said right away, and this is my intuition with God, you think there's no God? Right away, the thought came into my mind, he's going to abuse me labor-wise. The reason he's putting me on salary is he can work me endless hours and pay me one flat rate. At the Marriott, if I worked over 40 hours as a salary employee, I got bonus. I got extra pay. And I worked about 50 to 60 hours a week. But the Marriott, even on salary, if I worked more than 40 hours a week on salary, I got paid overtime. They paid their employees, managers, overtime. If you're as a manager and you work over 40 hours, we punched in and they recorded how many hours we worked as a manager. And if we passed 40 hours, we got extra salary. They're the only company that treated me right. And I wasn't forced out or anything. I left to go back to school. But they didn't screw me in any way, shape, or form. So I have very good feelings about the Marriott myself. They were good to me across the board. My manager helped me get reduced Marriott Courtyard stay when I was in Tucson. When I flew back to go back to school, I stayed at a Marriott Courtyard and I rented a car. And I had to find an apartment and everything else, but I had a reduced fee, and I stayed at the Marriott Courtyard by the airport. And they set it up. They knew I was leaving, and they helped me transition. But it would have been better if they said, hey, just why don't you transfer it to the Marriott Courtyard in Tucson by the airport? I would have worked there. I didn't think of it. But I did think about asking if I could get, and he had to call over personally to get me the rate, but he did it. But all these places have systematically abused me. So you see, God sees it differently. The city of Chicago, I've been cleaning up and working and volunteering since I've been a child for charities, cleaning up all kinds of beautification efforts and that. What the fuck have any of these people did? And then they got to say, oh, we're on the same citizen level. They have the same rights. And this is where God came to me, and I'm telling you honestly, No, they don't. They're not on the same level. Master, me, all of them, servant. And anything they do to piss off the master, they die. So that's on them. It's free will, like the car behind me with the bright lights and everything else. Well, you take your own eternal life in your hands. That's your choice. All I did was warn them. But again, it's all on them. So again, they choose to tailgate me. They choose to get behind me. I know how bright my headlights are. They're not ignorant about how bright their headlights are. So they can't say, oh, I didn't know my headlights are ultra bright. Bullshit, you didn't know. They know willful neglect, willful disobedience, inciting. Truly, they chose those bulbs that are ultra bright. You don't need ultra bright bulbs in the city of Chicago. There is no reason. You have street lights, you have stoplights that have light, you have all these buildings that have lights. You don't need bright headlights. Big freaking difference. Yep, and just to tell you, a long time ago, black women hit the bottom. When I was chosen this process and I was asked, who wouldn't I marry? And this is long before the breakdown. It was actions against me that I had negative throughout my life. And I was still good to black women afterwards, but I rolled them out. And this goes back to the 90s. I can not marry them. They're banned. So they're already out. There's no coming back. They're done. So these are actions God looked at. He put me with an Asian woman for a reason. Because he watched white women abuse me. Hispanic women abuse me. Black women the most. Secondly, Hispanic women. Then white women. And basically it was a progression of elimination. Free will. And if you break what God wants, then you all die. That's your choice. So it's already been a progression of elimination, and all you're doing is just sending you to a deeper hell, as the Bible tells you. So, again, that's all on you. I didn't do it to you. I've been aiding you since a kid, and I turned decade after decade, I turned the other cheek with all your abuses. And I did. I turned the other cheek and helped and volunteered and gave money. And I'm not a rich kid. I grew up the poorest. And I helped in every way I could. From intellectual properties to financial to physical volunteering, you name it. And it's all been a process of elimination. So again, they're done. So, again, there is no forgiving them. They're done. So, again, there is no going back. You chose to cross the line, and you made the decisions. So you can systematically keep on disrespecting me, but that's all on you. I put this video out there. I don't lie about anything. So if you know my history, you would be like, what? And I never told black people all the cumulative harms. I let it go. I buried it. I turned the other cheek forever. Now, this is the point of 2016. Now you want to bury my shit. But God said, let the truth be told now. All the fucking systematic betrayal, all the fucking evil that's been done to you continuously, and what was your actions continuously through? Righteousness and justice. As I worked for decades for black women's shelters and black men's shelters and all that. But it doesn't mean they were included. They already fucked themselves back in the 90s. So it's just burying themselves deeper. It's not getting better for them. It's getting exponentially worse. And it should show up in the legislation getting exponentially worse for the fucking pieces of shit. And I'll put out my stuff and everything, and I do, but they just keep on burying themselves. The divergence is unfucking believable. And you think they would be repenting their fucking ass off. And again, they choose not to and continuously assault me and disrespect me. It's unfucking believable. So, I cannot marry a black woman, and I will not marry a black woman. That is a no-go. And if a black man touches me, they should be terminated immediately. How long do you give people grace when you beat me from childhood with a 2x4? That somehow they get continuous grace. And I turned away from the guns, the baseball bats, and all that they've done to me wrongfully. So again, somebody has to be a winner and somebody has to be a loser. And we have this in life. Not everybody gets the same type of life. Some people win more, some people lose more. That's why communism failed. Because it doesn't take into account human value. And go into Marxist, Leninist, Ma, and everything else, it all failed. Ho Chi Minh, it all failed. Because it doesn't take into account true human value. And the Bible does through deeds. And it takes into account value. And it tells you in the Bible, those with the greater good works go closer to God, and those that go the opposite way, well, they burn. So again, they did it to themselves. I didn't do it to them. They made a willful conscience. I begged and pleaded and begged and pleaded and begged and pleaded and did everything. I put my life on my line for them and everything. Just like this country continuously. And I keep on begging and pleading, you change your shit. So again, when is this country going to wake up and have the come to Jesus moment? Truly, and I'm just talking about righteousness and justice. And we think that everybody should be treated the same. Then why do we have VIP things? Truly, why do we have fraternities and sororities? So the independents can come in and, like, I'm going to take your room at the fraternity. I'm a brother of the fraternity. Really? How about unions? How about Google? I'm the walk in, and I'm not talking about me, somebody else, and they walk in. I'm a Google employee now, and I'm a manager for Google, or I'm the CEO. No, I own Google. Pay me billions. Truly. Do they get to do that? You say everybody should be treated the same, right? This is what communism failed. But everybody should be. Then why in communism do they treat Mao Zedong differently than Stalin got treated differently, than Ho Chi Minh got treated differently? And then why do people that are part of the Communist Party get treated differently? But communism, everybody's treated the same. Really? I didn't notice that they seem to treat all these people differently in communism. Wow, but everybody's valued the same. Everybody's life matters the same. Everybody is the same. That's a bunch of bullshit. That's the greatest discrimination ever. That we're all the same. Created equally means you're born in a womb. Male, female. It doesn't say anything about you have the same attributes. That is untrue. If we did, then why do we have type A blood, type B blood, type AB blood, type O blood? Truly. Why do we have the RH factors in that? And if everybody was the same, then everybody's organ would work and we wouldn't need anti-rejection drugs, would we? Because everybody is the same. Then everybody would have the same skin color. Everybody would have the same eye color, the hair color, same height, same weight. Truly, same fast muscle, same slow twitch, same fast twitch, same muscle mass, same bone density. Because everybody is the same. As you see, that is untrue, and the Bible teaches you that. No one is the same. There's similarities, but no, not the same. And so you start understanding that, and you start understanding how the Bible treats people by their worth. If not, then everybody would sit on the right-hand side of God. Everybody would say, I'm the Son of God, and I'm the Son of God. I'm the second coming, and I'm the second coming. Okay. But where's the self-evidence? So you learn it's not true. We have U-Haul here. See that rate? $19.95. But it's a competitive market. Who's their competitors? Even within, there's Penske that bought a segment, and they compete against the other people, U-Haul. They do. But there are other companies that provide that. I don't know if Avis or Hertz or whatever, but they can get into that business. Not only in the vehicle rental, which they do, but they can get into it leasing Ubers, Truly, leasing for lifts. Avis can get in that. Hertz can get into that business. Budget rental car can get into that business. Leasing to Uber drivers. Truly. And so you can go in and pick out a different Avis car right at the rental place. Lyft and Uber and everybody else. So you go in and you get the car and you use it for the day. It's the same method as a cab stand. My father went in and rented the car for the day. He returned it at the end of the day. They cleaned it. They changed the motor oil. They washed the car. They cleaned the interior. They did all the tire maintenance. That's the same thing they do. And you can go into an Avis and say, I'm the lease. I want to do black car today. Okay, I'm going to get a Lexus, or I'm going to go get a Cadillac Escalade for the day. And I'm going to do black car. Okay. Truly. One thing about Avis and that, about Uber and Lyft and that, and Via, that you can choose the car. And that people ride in different cars, they get different experiences. Why they do it in a taxi fleet is economies of scale. They want to have the same cars because they get purchasing power parity. But you don't have to worry about that. Avis does that for you. They use their economies of scale, and you get a commercial rate, not a residential rate or a retail rate. You get a commercial rate. And with that, they can have the insurance and everything for you, and you pay by the day. That's how my father paid. The insurance came with the cab. Do you know that? My father didn't have independent auto insurance. The auto insurance came with the cab. It was all fully burdened in that. All the maintenance costs, the insurance costs, the cleaning, and all that was embedded into the daily cost to use the car. The insurance was. They already have insurance. They offer it to you at the airport all the time. But at the cab stand with my father, it was already embedded. He didn't go out and get individual auto insurance. He only paid when he used the car. So again, it was all fully embedded. So again, I don't understand why they don't get in the game. Why they don't get into the truck rental business. Truly, if I was all of them, I'd be in the truck competing with Hertz. Competing with U-Haul. Truly. I would want to get into the fleet rental business and the moving truck business. So, again, I don't understand what they're doing. But there's lots of opportunity. And so, again, they got to make smart decisions. But again, constantly pissing all over me, I don't think is winning you any favor. I was told it's actually not. But I'll give you the Bible quotes that when you do unrighteous action, you lose the favor of God. And if you die in an unrighteous action, like jaywalking, the girl on this video, if she would die there, she's not going to heaven. It's just like insurance. If you die in the action of crime, the insurance is not going to pay out. So when you're doing an act of a crime, which that is a criminal offense, jaywalking, but they don't think about that, it is a criminal offense. So, again, there's criminal jaywalking. But again, you can say whatever, but in the Bible, it's a little bit different. It's a higher standard. You go with the lower standard of the company. to get into heaven, you got to go with the higher standard. So go with the lower standard of the United States. But American Sniper says, I go with the higher standard. I answer to God. So, above country. And if the country is being unrighteous, well then, I have to report them. It's called whistleblower. And, countries do this and they report to the United Nations. Oh, the United Nations has its human rights committees. And if you're violating human rights, you can report it to the United Nations. That's where Malcolm X should have went. If he had any brains, if he was truly as smart. But I see these problems with Martin Luther King and that. The United Nations has been there and they've had the humanitarian and they have all this stuff. But Martin Luther King didn't get up in front of the United Nations, did he? Not that I know, and I know his life pretty much inside and out. Malcolm X didn't. So if these horrible things are going on, they have their human rights committees. It's just like this guy. I hope those lights are going off, because if you turned them back on to upset me, that's called inciting. And again, these are actions that are willful. And again, I'm waiting for the lights to go off. There we go. They're on a timer. And, oh yeah, do you know you controlled that timer in a car? The auto lights, how fast they go off? On those cars, there's a timer. You can set them for 10 seconds or so. You choose how long they stay on after you get out. So that means it's on you. It's not innocent. So if you choose to keep them on for a long time after you get out of the car, well, that's on you. So you can choose all this stuff. So again, they should have just went to the United Nations and spoke in front of the United Nations. And they could have went to the United Nations committee and then went into the U.S. signed on to these agreements. Truly, the U.S. signed on to these agreements about human rights with the United Nations. And so they're held accountable as a member of the United Nations with these human rights agreements. So again, they could have just went there, and then as a member, you can punish members. Oh yes, the United Nations can punish their members. So if they were smart, they would have just went to the United Nations. That would have been the greatest thing. Take your case to the world. So again, their ignorance is on them. As the Bible says, each to their own. And so, again, ignorance of the Bible and its rules is no excuse for breaking them. And I've told everybody since I've been a kid, if you come, especially in America, you better read the Bible. And if you break it, it's like the same thing where it came from. Ignorance of the law is no excuse of breaking the law. So again, you can't claim, I didn't know. This protects the state from unrighteous lawsuits. It puts the burden on the individual to know the law. Because if not, you can claim, I didn't know that I was supposed to cross in the crosswalk. I'm going to sue the city of Chicago. This is how governments get protection. Ignorance of the law is no excuse for breaking the law. This protects the government from being sued for people claiming, You didn't educate me. They pass on personal responsibility as well. So it protects them from being sued. That's why they have it.